All right, so we're gonna get to the first topic. If y'all haven't already, like, subscribe, definitely leave a comment. Um, we're gonna get to the first topic, which is when someone calls you a simp. Let me hit the video.
Don't worry about the simp talk and all that
Yeah,
nonsense.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
nonsense. How can you even say that to a guy that's with his beautiful woman and like you're both building together, having a
yeah.
great? It's so irrelevant what anyone else thinks.
Right, right.
That's,
Yes.
and I think that's what the problem is. People thinking about what other people think. I'm thriving in my relationship, and I know you guys are too. And that's all that matters.
All right, I'm gonna run that one more time.
Don't worry about the simp talk and all that nonsense.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
nonsense. How can you even say that to a guy that's with his beautiful woman and like you're both building together, having a great? It's so irrelevant what anyone else thinks.
Right, right.
Yes. And I think that's what the problem is. People thinking about what other people think. I'm thriving in my relationship, and I know you guys are too. And that's all that matters.
All right. So I'm gonna get to the first question, which is when in a relationship and someone calls you a simp, or well, let me start with the women on this one. How do you view people that call someone a simp? When you hear that word, what do you think of? Or how do you look at the people that use it to describe someone? Balancing, I'm gonna start with you.
See, to be honest, I couldn't really hear the clip, but the question sounds a little strange to me because I don't really know what a simp is. Like I hear the term on the internet. I've never heard this term in real life, but I hear it on the internet, and I think the people that use the word, I got to know the context. I have to know what are you using the word for and why. It depends, because some people just say it. If you treat a woman with respect, they're like, you're a simp. It's like, what's wrong with you? Like, you have issues with your mother. Like, there's something wrong. So you have those people, and then you have the other people that are like a man that would just do anything for a woman, has no boundaries. He'll take disrespect and mistreatment for a woman, and then they'll say that's a simp. And then I'm like, okay, I can respect that. Okay. Because you shouldn't just lay down and take anything from a woman just because she's a woman. So I agree with that. So it depends on who's saying it and why. But if a man is just being respectful to a woman and loving his woman, he's not a simp. Like, that's just strange. And those men got to work on themselves and go to therapy. That's how I feel about it.
So in the real world, like you said, you only hear it online. In the real world, what would you call that term? Or what would you describe?
Like, instead of saying simp, I
Yeah.
would say I like the word I use is a man's a pushover. He got no backbone.
Right,
Like,
right.
if
That's
you just let a woman just do anything, you got no backbone, and no woman wants a man like that. No real woman wants a man like that. Women that want to manipulate you and take from you, yeah, she would love a man like that. But a woman that respects men, no, she doesn't want a man like that. So yeah.
all right, Hank. What would you have you been called that? Have you ever been called that?
Called a simp.
Yeah, have you ever has that ever been thrown at you? Or have you ever been called a pushover in real life?
No, never been called a simp or a pushover. Uh, well, if they call me a pushover because I guess I was bullying them. I don't know. Only reason why they would call me, because I'm not gonna just let no. I wouldn't let a tackhead dog walk me. I do know that. Um, as far as a simp, I mean, when we hear the word simp, they call everybody goddamn simp. This is what I'm having an issue with. How do you call a married man a simp? That don't make sense to me. I don't see how you call a married man a simp. Now, a man who is maybe dating, yeah, he could be a simp. But you married, you doing things for your wife. That should be expected. That should be expected because I expect her to be doing the same for me. As long as I'm reaping the benefits from it, how is anybody a simp? Now, if you're not reaping the benefits and you just constantly getting dog walked and used to go out to entertain, just for some male companionship every once in a while, and you not getting no real benefits out of it, yeah, you're a goddamn loser. I don't see why anybody won't just hang around just to get walked all over. Yeah, that don't make sense to me at all. But as far as calling a married man a simp, I couldn't do that. I couldn't. Not in my right mind, I couldn't.
All right, Jay Stanza, what's good, man?
What up?
Did you get to see the video that we played?
Nah, I ain't get to see it.
All right, I'm gonna run it back one more time for Jay Stanza, then I'm gonna, keep going.
Don't worry about the simp talk and all that nonsense. That's nonsense. How can you even say that to a guy that's with his beautiful woman and like you're both building together, having a great it's so irrelevant what anyone else thinks.
Right. Yes.
And I think that's what the problem is. People thinking about what other people think. I'm thriving in my relationship. And I know you guys are too, and that's all that matters,
Now, as Balance and Coles mentioned, the term is something that, pretty much I've seen it online. I haven't really seen it in person or heard it in person up until, I started listening to content on the internet. Have you ever been called a simp in your relationship?
Yeah, I got called a simp by my homies when they had to check me. They're like, "Hey, bro, you simping." Like, if they be like, "Hey, let's hang out. Let's have a guys' night. Let's go kick it." And I'm like, "Nah, man, my girl not happy with me going out." Then they like, "Why you simping?" So basically, I'm giving up all my friendships. I'm cutting off everything I like to do just to make her happy. That's simping. So I definitely been called a simp before.
Now, when you've been called that, do you feel it was justified? In every case, do you feel it was justified, or do you feel like it was just loosely thrown at you as a shaming tactic?
Yeah, no, I think it was justified because I was at the point in that relationship where I was just putting her on a pedestal and I didn't hang out with them at all. I didn't do anything for myself. I did everything she wanted to do. So it was justified. My simping, them calling me out was definitely justified.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely definitely been there, yo. Where you stop calling as much, stop answering calls. Yeah, it's not good. That's not good. All right, Eric, it's on you, man. Have you ever been called a simp in your relationship?
Yes, I have by friends, and I did realize that maybe I was doing a little much, but it's also been to the point whereas I was working on something with somebody, and I think Hank brought up a very good point, a dope point. He talked about if you're married or if you're in a relationship with someone that's very significant and y'all doing things together. The brother that was just talking is Simeon Panda. My brother actually follows him. And actually my son, not my brother. My son follows him because he's a bodybuilder. My son bodybuilds as well. And I started following him and I liked what he did because he included his woman in everything. Even when she was pregnant, she works out with him. She did everything with him. So the context behind what he was saying was that somebody called him out and said he was a simp. But the thing about it is that they were building something together, and actually they've built a multi-million-dollar business, pretty much off of being together, showing that couple and doing what they're doing. I think sometimes some people say that because they may not, number one, understand the dynamic, and then number two, just plain jealousy. When two people are paying attention to one another, I think that's a good thing. And also what happens is as people get closer together, they kind of figure out who they really want to be around and how they want to be around. Now, can it be too much sometimes? Yeah. But for the most part, when people are building themselves up in their own world, man, they into it. They focused on each other and they trying to do something together. So, it's a fine line. It really is. So, yes, I've been called that, but you got to watch who's calling you that.
All right, Paris. So in your situation, when you hear it thrown around or you view somebody this, how do you view that word?
I don't, honestly. I feel like simp is just another way for men to speak amongst each other and demean men when they're not doing what they think they should be doing as far as checks and balances of cooperative women. But the thing about that is like what you like, everybody else don't like. you know, and that's what I feel like men use it as. They use it as a tool or a ploy to separate themselves from quote unquote the weak and the strong based off of how they engage with women. But you don't know what it takes in order for him to feel whole in a relationship. And you don't know exactly what he's getting from said woman as to the reason why he's allowing certain things to go on. So I don't really take to the simp word. I've heard it now translated into, you know, regular society and stuff like that. But it's really not something that I would use to weaponize against a man, especially one in a relationship, because I mean, that's not your place to try to tell another man how his woman should be operating. If he don't feel disrespected and you can't really gauge disrespect by what's going on in their household, she meet his metrics, it really not your place to tell another man. Like, if you ain't respecting his manhood and how he putting down, he really don't need you as a friend.